What's up, guys? I'm excited to have you here today because my buddy Mark over at Legion of Comics put me on to Blastin' and STASHIN'S Would You Rather 2, the second print. If you didn't check out his video, go watch it. It's pretty awesome because he actually has comic books that represent all of his answers and even some of the non-answers that he gives. And I'm definitely not going to be able to deliver on that kind of circumstance, but I think I can deliver at least some decent answers out of these. So before I ramble too long, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment, connect, follow, do whatever you do on the platform you're on. Just look for my furry face inside of an orange circle and press all the buttons next to it. So this is Blastin' and STASHIN'S Would You Rather 2, the second print, and they basically have a list of questions that you pick either or. And this is to kind of like open the community up to each other, get us out there, kind of put yourself out there. And based on these questions, I think we're going to find some different fandoms that align in different ways. The first question on the list is, do you take the path of the Jedi or the Sith? Now, for me, honestly, Star Wars was always the most interesting when we were talking about the smugglers and, all the other people that were out there, the transporters and the clone troopers and the bounty hunters. Like, all of that stuff was way more interesting to me than the Jedi or the Sith. I think I have a certain chip on my shoulder about the Chosen One tropes and bloodlines and family heritage. And I have plenty of reasons for that, so if anybody actually cares to hear how much I hate, like, family names and, people banding together over superficial reasons, I definitely have some stories for that. But at the end of the day, I think the Sith, at least they look cool. And they're willing to get the job done. So, yes, if I had to pick Jedi or Sith in the Star Wars universe, I would go with Sith. The next question, I don't know, I feel like this one is kind of loaded. The options are Image, Indy titles, or DC and Marvel. So if you could only read one of these for the rest of forever, would you read Indies or would you read DC Marvel? And I've spoken quite extensively lately, like I've done so many rants on this, but essentially DC and Marvel are the same thing going back and forth, If you look like 8-9 months ago, like all anybody was talking about was Marvel. And as of today, pretty much since March, we have been in, some peak DC comics. And Marvel's kind of starting to just like really fade away. I mean, I'm surprised how far they've fallen in the last couple of months. And I don't know if it's because DC's gotten that much better or if Marvel has just kind of let themselves go a little bit. But I don't find as many people reading, Marvel at the moment. But to put this question, frame it, those two versus all of the indie titles out there, I have to go with the indie titles. I mean, with DC and Marvel, you're going to be moving back and forth all the time trying to find good books to read. One company's putting out 3 books, and then, in a few months, they'll be putting out like 100 books. So, I don't know, there's a lot going on there. With indies, I mean, all the different publishers that are considered indies, you're going to find consistency there. So, for the most part, I enjoy their stories more. I think the superhero stuff is not generally in my wheelhouse. There's some great stories out there with superheroes, but at the end of the day, I would rather have the indies because there's way more options, way more stories to tell. They do their own superhero stories, so it just feels a little stacked, but I have to go with indies on this. If you were a comic writer and you could only have one artist on your book, would it be Peach Momoko or Rob Liefield? I haven't read Demon Days, so I don't know what Momoko's internal storytelling, I don't know how well she tells a story sequentially. I've heard pretty positive things. I've also heard some mixed things. I've also heard that it's a shame that that book is connected to X-Men because would actually be able to become something bigger than what it is if it wasn't connected to an already existing universe. So I think those are all interesting comments because all I know of Momoko is her covers and they're a little soft for me. I mean, Liefield, the guy is He can't really draw feet, and he really loses it on the backgrounds. Like, his backgrounds get progressively worse across the book. Um, but honestly, I would go with Liefield on this one because even if I make a bad book, with Liefield's name on it, it's going to sell. And at least I know working with him is going to be fun because the dude is way too enthusiastic about everything not to be on some kind of drugs. But his energy is infectious, and that's what's made him stick around in the industry. So I say, come on, Liefield, I'll have fun making a bad book that's going to sell because your name is on it. Let's make it happen. You're a consultant to, or a butler to one team, the TMNT or Power Rangers. Now this is tough because, I mean, Power Rangers, or I'm sorry, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the cartoon, dropped, I guess, probably about the same time I was born, maybe right before. And so it was something that I really love. Like, I love Ninja Turtles to this very day because it's like one of the very first like franchises and TV shows that I really got into, you know. I was born in 88, so I think the cartoon was already on and I was just watching reruns. You know, and then I was like 3 years old and boom, they dropped a Ninja Turtle live action movie that still stands the test of time if you ask me. So this is a franchise I love, but Power Rangers, man, Power Rangers hit just as I was becoming aware of like what a franchise was. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like, that brought me into a world and kind of introduced me to this concept of like a franchise or an IP. But it was Power Rangers that became the brand that really defined my childhood for a long time. I absolutely loved it. And, you know, nowadays, the Power Rangers comics are something that I read regularly. The Turtles comics, not so much. But I think I would go... I'm going to have to go with the Power Rangers because the interaction with the Rangers. If I got to meet Zordon, Billy, and Alpha, like, done. If I get to be Alpha 5, that would be even cooler. Like, I could be the butler, you know? So, yeah, I'm definitely going with Power Rangers on this one, but that's a tough choice. That's probably the hardest choice on this whole list, if you ask me. Which would you rather try and survive? An alien xenomorph invasion or a predator invasion? Man, I don't know. This is tough. I feel like, cause one, I like Alien. I like Predator, but I like Alien a little bit better. I did play Alien versus Predator, the video games, the computer games, you know. So for me, like, one thing that stands out in the game is that, yeah, the aliens are extremely dangerous. You do not want to mess with them. But they're really only good in close quarters. So if you're talking about an invasion, I actually think that it would be easier to survive the aliens. Because bullets can hurt them, you know? So if you get out into an open field and they have to come straight at you, you have a pretty good shot of taking them down. Predators are, you know, I mean, they're hunters through and through. And so coming to this planet just makes it a little bit more fun for them, but it doesn't necessarily make it any harder. They've hunted on like planets across the universe, you know, like Earth would be nothing for them to navigate and set traps and hunt, you know, but aliens really only work in close quarters, like when you're stuck on a spaceship with them. That's a great place to not want to run into a xenomorph. On the other hand, if you're like out in open field, if you're on a planet, you know, like, you're probably going to do all right. Just don't get caught in any caves or like locked down buildings. Would you rather marry He-Man TEELA or Lion-O CHEETARA? I tell you, this one's kind of easy for me. Both of these were series that were on before I was born. So I kind of got to know them like a little bit later in life, you know, probably like, I don't know, like 10, 11, 12. After I kind of started to run out of the shows that I regularly watched, I started to catch reruns of He-Man and Thundercats, you know. So I got introduced to them after like Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers and stuff, which is probably a different order from most people. He-Man was never like my favorite thing. It's cool. I like it. It has a place in my heart, but it's not like amazing or anything to me. Thundercats I really enjoyed a lot more. They're still kind of lower tier compared to like Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers, you know. But All in all, I would definitely go with CHEETARA. I honestly, I don't even know who TEELA is. Maybe I should have looked that up before I started doing this. But I do know He-Man, I do know Lion-O, I do know CHEETARA, and yes, I would definitely go with Thundercats on this option. And then one day to hang out with Spider Grandpa, Pocan Joe, or Huey. And this answer is going to be a little, I'm not going to say biased, but like the problem is I don't really know Blastin and Stashin that well, really. I've started watching their videos lately because Mark from Legion of Comics talks about them quite a bit. And Pocan Joe drops into a lot of our live streams, and he's absolutely hilarious in the chat. He's hilarious on the screen. I've met Spider Grandpa a few times in different chats and stuff. He's also quite hilarious. Huey seems like a great guy, but the only way that I really know him is from watching him on their show, you know. So, given the options here, I'm gonna go with Pocan Joe. I would hang out with Pocan Joe for a day. He seems like a really just like hilarious, great guy. Kind of a good old boy, and you know, being born and raised in rural Texas kind of instills that into you. So he seems like the kind of person that that I don't know that I would hang out with a lot, but somebody that I would know from where I grew up. And honestly, the whole crew is, I mean, they're all like great guys. So given the option, honestly, I would just like to hang out on their channel for a day and hang out with them. But if I had to pick one, Pocan Joe gets it. So that's Blastin' and Stashin'S Would You Rather 2, the second print. And this was a lot of fun. I hope y'all learned a little bit about me. It went Sith, Image, Indy titles, Liefield for my artist, Power Rangers I would be the butler for. I think I could survive an alien xenomorph invasion. I took the Thundercats because of CHEETARA. And if I had to hang out with only one person from this awesome group, it would be Pocan Joe. So everybody should check this out. Make a video yourself. I mean, it's going to be pretty cool. It's a great way to get to know people and kind of find out where people fall on different fandoms. I feel like a lot of my answers here are basically going to tell people to stay away from me. So I might not have that many friends after this, but it is what it is. So until next time, keep flipping pages.